How does a Capricorn man test a woman? People tend to test others based on their relationships with one another. Unfortunately, this is more likely to happen between close friends and partners for whatever reason. It could be to test their loyalty or their suitability to one another, especially for the haul. When people do this, how they test those around them depends on what they value. It's also based on what kind of person they are in general. The testing phase. The testing phase in a relationship comes in two continuous stages. First is when they learn that you are crushing on them. At this point of the relationship, they will only be testing how serious you are with your claims, because when they enter a relationship with romantic connotations tagged with it, they want to make sure that they are going to be treated to be more than a friend. They want to be treated like an actual romantic partner. The second stage, we believe, is when they are in an established romantic relationship with you. This time around, it is in any individual's nature to see if you are compatible and a suitable partner to spend their lives with. This can be seen as harsh and shallow by others, but it is just human nature. The male Capricorn test. Testing someone we love is human nature, unfortunately, and it is a very cruel way of proving one's love to one another. Capricorn men are notorious for doing this, and below is some of the many ways that they can go about testing you. Mixed signals. There is nothing more infuriating than showing how interested you are in a relationship, and you may even have verbalized it to them, and in return, they suddenly turn cold on you. Unfortunately for you, this is one of the most common approaches that man born as a Capricorn does. This is even more apparent if you have known each other as friends for a long time. Why do they do this? Well, the biggest reason that they do this is because when they enter a relationship, especially a romantic one, they are one to be sure. They never rush into love for the sake of it. It is in their nature that they do not like being stringed along for the journey. When they commit, they want the other person to be as committed as he is. Tests like these, as mentioned, can be infuriating and most of all confusing. That is why, although they are notorious for taking this approach, it is essential that you can also distinguish between the signs that he is just testing you this way and signs that they are clearly not interested. This is important because otherwise, if you cannot separate the two, you will be in the back foot of the relationship from the get-go, and that is not a position you or anyone should be in. Capricorn men will test your patience. Humans have the tendency to be clingy, especially when the relationship is new. That is why it is only natural for someone to look for their partner all the time and want to spend as much time with them as possible. However, men born under the Capricorn star symbol may throw a curveball in this desire of yours. They will suddenly make themselves unavailable. When they do this, it is only a natural reaction to be irate and mad. However, if this was a test, then the best advice that we can give you is to be patient and find a way around it. And if there is none, then you might just have to wait until he becomes available again. Again, if this was a test, then it should not take long. However, if it does, then you may doubt his actions. Otherwise, you should remember that this is just a test, and Capricorns do not like women who are too needy. In fact, they would be more attracted if you show that you can wait for them, because men who are born under the Capricorn star sign like women who can show that they are able to stand on their own feet. Strong, independent women, as they say, and instead of pining for their companionship, which you have every right to, why not use this time to work on your personal goals? Develop yourself and grow as a person, and surprise him yourself. However, keep in mind that Capricorns are normally like this, especially when their livelihood is involved. They are workaholics by nature, and that is why you might need to show some understanding. In fact, they may even spend more time in the office than outside. However, men, not just those who are born as Capricorns, are known to make this move when they are having an affair. You must remember, though, that before he went into a relationship with you. Slow with decision making. Just like how they try to avoid rushing into romance, they can take a similar approach in life. This is the reason why Capricorn men are known to take their time in making decisions, especially the more important ones that they must make. Similarly, they take the same approach when others are involved, such as family and partners. However, they see this as an opportunity to test the patient you are as a person. Again, this goes into their personality of being themselves. Capricorns are very patient, and they would like their partners to be the same. Whenever they see an opportunity, they may purposely take their time to see how you will react, especially with the more important matters. However, know that when they do come up with a decision, it is one that has been weighed out and considered very deeply. In fact, you could say that it is the best choice among the options available. Check his stress levels. It should be clear by now that male Capricorns are not the type who like to feel any kind of stress. In fact, it should be apparent by their slow and steady nature, calculated and never likes to look in hindsight. They would like their partners to be the same, or at least someone who does not cause them so much stress. One reason why they try to avoid any stressful situation or stress-inducing individuals is because they get stressed out so easily, which is why they tend to be sure of every decision before making them. Using their vulnerability. They may be aloof at some point. However, men of the Capricorn star symbol can be considered as one of the more serious individuals in the zodiac when they dive into a committed relationship. In fact, they can be sappy to a point of being vulnerable, and they will test you on how you exploit their supposed weakness. What they normally do is expose themselves on purpose, maybe bring it up in one of your more serious conversations to avoid any suspicion, and will bring it up occasionally to see how you are taking it. In fact, they may bring up discussions that are closely related to what makes him vulnerable to see if you can remember any of what he deems to be his weaknesses. If you do bring them up more than once, you may have just lost his mind games, and this can be detrimental to your relationship overall. When he suddenly springs the cracks in his armor, keep in mind that he might be testing you, and one way to pass the test is never to bring back any past vulnerabilities that they reveal to you. One thing to remember about males born under the Capricorn star symbol is to ensure that you acknowledge his problems, because they share these for you to understand his situation fully. Remember, Capricorn men have a deeply rooted fear of being judged that might be caused by their insecurity that they do not want others to find out. Additionally, it might also stem from the notion that vulnerabilities are not supposed to be exploited. Instead, they must be addressed yet protected, especially when the weaknesses in question are from those who you are in a relationship with. That is why, instead of bringing these up every chance you get, try not to. Simple as that. Instead, let them be one of the first to bring these weaknesses up, and only then should you comment or react to it. However, remember, there are moments where they just want to be listened to, and any reaction may not be warranted. Conclusion. It can be frustrating being tested, especially when you have shown and given as much as you into your relationship. Unfortunately, in general, men born under the Capricorn star sign are very romantic and would not normally go out of their way to hurt you. In fact, they have been considered as the caretakers among all the zodiac symbols, and keep in mind that they took their time to choose and fall in love with you, and that should be enough proof that they find you worth it. However, if you notice your man is acting different so suddenly, know this means that they are just testing you, and sometimes you just let them do it. Pass it and your relationship might just come out stronger from it. However, condoning any more than simple tests is unacceptable, and if you become uncomfortable with the tests that he is making you go through, find the courage to let him know. They also like that in a woman. Someone who shows strength and able to stand up for themselves. And that can be a test to your personality from your man born under the Capricorn star symbol.